Did you know that we, as human beings with a human brain, have absolutely no say in whether or not we get programmed? Most of the times, this is by default, programmed by society, our culture, the media, parents and family, authority figures. But we absolutely do have a say when we have this awareness of how we get programmed or who and what we allow to program us. So, welcome to this 10th episode and more to come monthly of a series I'm calling Positive Programming for Cancer, where you will hear real life, true, inspirational stories of cancer patients that healed themselves when the odds were stacked against them. What did they do? What is special about them? In some cases, it's clear, others, not so much. Either way, the more your brain comes to hear these positive success stories, the more it will believe and come to know that it is possible for you too. That's just how it works. Hi, my name is Dr. Lisa Matejka. I'm a naturopathic doctor, energy worker, and transformational life coach helping open-minded women with cancer heal themselves on a deeper level through my innovative programs and compassionate guidance without the confusion and overwhelm. All right, meet Anne Hamilton, a litigator practicing law when she was diagnosed with advanced stage breast cancer in 2018, only in her 30s. She ended up going the conventional route: chemotherapy, double mastectomy, radiation, with final surgery ending in 2020. And of course, many complications. She remembers this time as a painful blur. Her story is a bit different because she did survive via the conventional route, but she was not thriving. In fact, she was barely living. In her own words, surviving the cancer treatment was not the hardest part. It was figuring out how to resubscribe back to life. She felt very disconnected from her body. She also suffered some, I guess you could say, emotional trauma from the constant poking and prodding of those vulnerable, intimate areas, to the point where she didn't let anybody touch her for years. The worst part, however, was the inescapable, constant, looming fear of the cancer coming back. She had other friends, her age and younger, that died from cancer recurrences. She could not bear this thought, this potential reality. She repressed it to the point where she just didn't think about her future at all, didn't want a future at all. She was on antidepressants, depressed, and worse, feeling guilty about not being happy about her survival. She began to try lots of tools to help reintegrate her into her body and reconnect her to her body: yoga, qigong, meditation, therapy, and had some good results. But that overwhelming fear of death was still looming. She felt stuck. A friend of hers told her about the research on psilocybin-assisted therapy at Johns Hopkins. And for those of you that don't know, psilocybin is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms. This is the part where she warns people not to do underground illegal things. And of course, it's not for everybody. And even traveling abroad can be risky too when you have a medical condition. And then this is where my disclaimer comes in, that positive programming reports on people's stories, and New Moon Cancer Care doesn't necessarily endorse any of these therapies. Although I do think that psilocybin and psychedelic-assisted therapy does definitely have its place, so long as it's not overused or misused. So she decided to give this a try. She did her own research and decided to give this a try. She did have a guide to facilitate her through it. She set the intention, and she had the perspective shift she needed. She did say her experience was difficult, but a good one. She actually saw herself die. She was guided through it. She was faced with her own mortality and came out the other side as her biggest takeaway: a more peaceful relationship with death. And now she doesn't want to die. She still wants to live, but when she thinks about death, there's no more fear and terror, but a sense of calm And then, as many cancer patients end up doing, she found a new purpose in life of helping others. She and some other survivors started the Survivorship Collective in 2023, where they help connect members of their cancer community to safe and legal access to psilocybin and other psychedelic assisted therapies. And they have some retreats going on in Oregon, actually. So her story is very interesting to me because, and not to toot my own horn or anything, but without actually reading about or learning about this from anywhere else, I just had the intuitive awareness to include something exactly like this in my coaching program for cancer patients, and that is the confronting of death. There are some nuances here because, yes, on one hand, just like Kelly A. Turner says in her 10 Common Healing Factors, you need to focus on where you want to go, not on where you don't want to go. So you focus on what you have to live for, your strong reasons for living, and you don't focus on your fear of death. However, one way to release this focus and this preoccupation with death, one way to release this fear of death is to confront it. Isn't that how we get over a lot of fears, is by confronting? Of course, we can't overcome this fear by actually doing it, but it is a part of my program for those that need it or want it. And there's a whole process and ways we do this and go about this, but it is about confronting, visualizing, going deep into that fear of death and one's mortality, because it frees up that energy that's otherwise circling. It frees it up and releases it. Now that energy can be used for healing, and it's no longer just like she had a peaceful relationship with it. That is the outcome. So that can be a very powerful thing. And even though she did survive the cancer, technically via the conventional route, it is quite possible it would have come back had she not done these other things that are more like mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. I know that is very important part of the cancer healing journey. So speaking of, if anyone is interested in my coaching program, I will leave a link in the description box to a coaching application. You may apply. I will also leave a link to my free gift. As I just mentioned, Kelly A. Turner, it is the 10 Common Healing Factors among cancer survivors who beat the odds. If they can do it, so can you. And this is based on decades of research on cancer patients who had spontaneous remissions. And what are the things they had in common? What did they do to heal themselves? So thank you for joining this 10th episode. We are now in the double digits here. 10th episode of Positive Programming. Go find some of these stories on your own as well, because again, the more your brain hears these success stories of other people, the more you will believe that it is possible for you too. What one can do, you can too. If someone else can do it, so can you. Best of luck on your journey and much love.